The featured company is a paid client of Proactive Group Holdings, and this recording is disseminated by Proactive on its behalf.
It's a little bit like a jigsaw puzzle. If you get another piece that suddenly fits, it's like an aha moment. That it helps to determine where everything is along this trend.
Welcome back inside our Proactive newsroom. And joining me now is Robert Archer, the CEO of Pinnacle Silver and Gold. And Bob, good to see you again. How are you?
Yeah, Steve, doing well, thanks.
Good. Good to have you along. Company, I was in news today about the extension of a mineralized zone on your project in Mexico. So tell me a little bit about the area you were looking at on this particular project and how the sampling is really paying off.
Well, the just a quick background, Steve. When we picked up this project just at the end of February, it hadn't been worked in 35 years, and so we had no data whatsoever. But we did know that there were three old mine workings along this what we call the Dos de Mayo vein or structure, and so we basically had to start from scratch, resampling these old workings to determine where exactly the mineralization is within the old workings and then how it all connects and so on. So that's what we've been doing. And the La Dura mine is the third of those three that we've sampled. And so we've now identified within those workings exactly where the mineralization is. And that allows us to start to put together a better understanding. I mean, it's a little bit like a jigsaw puzzle. If you get another piece that suddenly fits, it's like an aha moment. That it helps to determine where everything is along this trend.
Yeah, and not to get too into the weeds about where things are because it's obviously very early days still. But you were talking about those three principal mines and the areas in between there is kind of what you're looking at to sort of piece together if they might all connect together. Am I on the right track here?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, those three mines provide us access, to that vein system in those three locations. But in between the three mines, there's absolutely nothing at all. The vein has never been drilled,
Hmm.
and by anyone, and there's really very little outcrop in between the old mines either. So, again, to use that jigsaw puzzle analogy, it's kind of like you're developing three separate mini pictures and you're trying to figure out how the three of them fit together, and that's kind of where we're at with it. So we'll need some drilling to drill in between those three, but the fact that we have those three pockets, if you like, of mineralization is just good evidence that there is a certain amount of repeatability of this mineralization, because it's not consistent, it's not continuous, it's not a big
Right.
sheet. There are pockets along the trend.
Yeah. And the numbers you're getting, you're quite happy with. It was kind of what you were expecting.
Yeah, totally. I mean, there is variability within these systems. I mean, in the past, at the Pinos Cuates mine, we've received some very, very high grades, up to 85 grams per ton, and on surface, places we're getting over 2,000 grams silver. So we know that they can be very high. And so in the end, it's a matter of averaging everything out to figure out, what the average grade is going to be that goes to the plant. But having this information is certainly very, very encouraging. And I mean, what we've discovered at La Dura is just really a small exposure. The underground working was just a little over 12 meters long, and it's just a little tunnel into the side of the hill, and that's really the only access we had. And so by being able to sample that and getting a good sense of what the mineralization there looks like, then we can go in with the drill and start to test around that and determine how big it might be and what the average grade will be overall. So no, we're very pleased with what we're seeing.
All right, we'll wait for more releases and more updates from that project for sure. Uh, Bob, thanks very much. Good to see you again, and we'll talk soon. Okay.
Okay, thanks very much, Steve.
All right. There's Robert Archer, the CEO of Pinnacle Silver and Gold.
The featured company is a paid client of Proactive Group Holdings, and this recording is disseminated by Proactive on its behalf. It is for informational purposes only and does not constitute investment advice, an offer, or a solicitation to buy or sell any securities. Viewers should conduct their own research and consult a qualified financial advisor before making investment decisions. The views expressed are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect those of Proactive Group Holdings, trading as proactive investors, or its affiliates. No responsibility is accepted for any loss arising from reliance on the information presented.